Go live. Your life. मैं बैकअप कनेक्ट कर देता हूँ.
Hello, if you please settle down. A very warm and fresh afternoon to one and all present here. I, Chandrajeet Mehta, along with me, Shruti Kanjori, executive members of Kartavya, welcome you all under the horizon of Tourism College University of Delhi. As we all know that, we all have gathered here for engaging and enlightening discussion through annual flagship event of Kartavya, that is the fourth edition of MAUSAM Climate Talk. I quote renowned president of USA, Mr. Barack Obama. There's one issue that will define the counters of the century more dramatically than any other, and that is the urgent threat of a changing climate. Friends, light symbolizes brightness and prosperity. It removes the forces of darkness and gives us positivity. In the spiritual world, light means knowledge and life. With this novel thought, let us start this afternoon highlighting the lamp. I would now like to invite our guest, Vikram sir, for lighting the lamp. So please.
शिफ्ट कर दिया दरवाजे की तरफ. जूम नहीं कर रहा हूँ. नहीं वो मैं हटा दूँ. सर लैंप लाइटिंग दिखा सकता हूँ. कमाई बंद करके आप सही है. दोनों में सब नहीं कर सकते. नहीं इसे शिफ्ट करना है किसी का जाएगा. ठीक है करके देखो जल्दी. लाइक से जाने पड़ेगा. लाइक
Now, I would like to request Kartavya's convener, Mr. Joshi, to welcome our planet head, Mr. Jenamani sir, by felicitating him with the planter.
I would now request Professor Ananthuman to felicitate our second panelist, Mr. Joshi, with the planter.
Now, I will request Professor James sir to felicitate our third panelist with the afternoon, Mr. Kaushal Kumar Sharma.
welcome sir to say a few words.
अब भी जा रही है देखिए.
नमस्कार, गुड आफ्टरनून. मैं डॉक्टर विक्रम सिंह चौधरी, संयोजक या आपकी सही कन्वेनर कर्तव्य सिविल सर्विस सोसाइटी किरोड़ीमल कॉलेज की तरफ से इस सभागार में बैठे हुए सभी लोगों का हार्दिक अभिनंदन करता हूँ. मुख्य वक्तागण, स्पीकर्स, मंच पर विराजमान प्रोफेसर कौशल सर, प्रोफेसर पी.के. जोशी सर और आर.के. जैनमणि सर, आप सभी का किरोड़ीमल कॉलेज प्रांगण में तहे दिल से हार्दिक अभिनंदन करते हैं हम सभी. प्रोफेसर कौशल कुमार शर्मा सर जेएनयू में सेंटर फॉर द स्टडी ऑफ रीजनल डेवलपमेंट के अंतर्गत भूगोल के प्रोफेसर एवं सामाजिक संकाय सोशल साइंस जैसे कई की टीम है. सर का शोध क्लाइमेट चेंजेस के अलावा इकोसिस्टम इन सब पर तो रुचि है ही, अध्ययन भी है, लेकिन इसके साथ साथ बहुत अच्छे व्याख्याता के साथ साथ बहुत पर्यावरण जिसे एनवायरमेंटलिस्ट है. साथ साथ में सरकार अध्ययन केंद्र बिंदु, सैटेलाइट रिमोट सेंसिंग और जीआई साइंस के अंतर्गत भी है. सर किरोड़ीमल कॉलेज आपका एक बार पुनः हार्दिक अभिनंदन करता है. अंतिम और आखिरी हमारे वक्ता डॉक्टर जेनामनी, आर.के. जेनामनी सर, जो कि इंडियन मेट्रोलॉजिकल डिपार्टमेंट, भारतीय मौसम विभाग में रीजनल मेट्रोलॉजिकल सेंटर के अंदर वैज्ञानिक एवं अध्यक्ष हैं, हेड हैं. तो सर आपका एक बार पुनः किरोड़ीमल कॉलेज तहे दिल से हार्दिक अभिनंदन करता है. ये जो हमारा पैनल है 3 लोगों का, 3 विद्वानों का, ये कर्तव्य सिविल सर्विस सोसाइटी के अंतर्गत हम प्रत्येक वर्ष एक मौसम वार्षिकी कार्यक्रम कराते हैं. उसी कार्यक्रम के अंतर्गत हमने सर आप सभी को आमंत्रित किया है और बड़ा उत्सुक हैं, तत्पर भी हैं आपके इन विचारों को सुनने के लिए. शुक्रिया. Thank you sir for your kind words. Founded in 2017, Kartavya is a marvelous initiative of Kirodimmal College, which endeavors to provide a collaborative learning ambience to all the learners, which are emblematic of our principle, spread the gods.
Realizing the gripping necessity and the urgency of developing a comprehensive understanding of the raging climatic issues, Kartavya holds its annual flagship event, MAUSAM, the Climate Talks, on an annual basis. Every year, we are honored by the gracious presence of eminent intellectuals, from distinguished academicians to honorable bureaucrats and others who have had an invaluable experience and expertise in this field. and who acquaint us with their innovative and interesting insights about the current dynamics relating to climate change. The agenda of this year's MAUSAM is a panel discussion by our eminent guest speakers on the topic Reshaping Climate Diplomacy in the Era of Uncertainty. And the events include Contemporary Climate Catastrophe, COP27, Ensuing Solidarity, Ambiguities over Climate Finance, Envisaging India's Stance on Climate Negotiations, Challenges and Way Ahead.
Climate diplomacy is the practice and process of creating the international climate change regime and ensuring its effective operation. The climate crisis is one of the greatest challenges of 21st century. The geopolitical consequences are substantial. As things stand, we are on a course for a much warmer world. The repercussions for our foreign policy agenda are significant, and therefore a stronger role for foreign policy in international climate policy is termed as climate diplomacy. Now, I would like to introduce to our first panelist, Dr. R.K. Jenamani, sir. Dr. R.K. Jenamani is a senior meteorologist at IMD India. He has been working in IMD for more than 30 years. He has a specialization in weather and climate services of India and South Asia as well. And he is designated as head at RSMC New Delhi. We are honored to have you, sir.
I would reiterate some of the points which have already been mentioned by our convener, Mr. Vikram Singh Chaudhary, while introducing our guests. So we have our next panelist with us, who is Mr. P.K. Joshi, who is currently employed in the School of Environmental Science, JNU, New Delhi, and is also the current chairperson at Special Center for Disaster Research. Sir has a lot of prestigious awards to his credit, including his recent achievement of that of the National Award for Geospatial Excellence, with which he was honored in 2020. Besides, Sir was a professor and head of Department of Natural Sciences, Delhi University, New Delhi, and was a scientist in Indian Institute of Remote Sensing at Dehradun. It's to have you with us, sir. Our next panel is Kumar Sharma, who is an eminent academician currently serving as a professor at JNU. He has worked as Colombo Plan teacher at Shirut College, Bhutan, and is deeply engaged in the issues of geohazards, among several other social aspects of importance. Besides, Sir has had a personal connection with KMC and he has also served as a professor in the geography department of our college. I'm sure Sir triggered some great memories there. Sir has a major research project for 10 years on ecological restoration and socio-economic empowerment of rural communities for sustainable livelihood and resource management in Uttarakhand, covering 19 villages and a population of 14,000. He has authored 3 books and has published many articles in leading journals and is a national expert on training on CSR policy. We are honored to have such eminent panelists with us today.
Without further delay, I will request our panel head, Mr. R.K. Jenamani, sir, to come forward and lead the discussion. Sir, please.
Yeah, very good morning to all. I can see actually so many students. So my love to all of you actually. So I will not take much time in thanks madam also and all our panel members. So how we are planning actually 25. So we are going up to 125. Yes, correct. So that is the time. And first is that I thank the organizer that bring us to this platform. So, so you would like to know, something which may help you. Yes, which may help you. So you know that one thing is very sure, the, so So coming to the core subject, as you know that IMD is a government organization. So government organization is mainly bringing the fact and figure based on the data. So you are also students, so you don't like to get information which are very excited, but maybe wrong. Okay. So because you are particular in civil service and your platform is starting actually. So I request only, even though you forget about the top, who is delivering or who is doing what. Science part is one. But when it comes to the observation or fact, you please see the authentication. Okay. So that should be number one. Because if I live in IMD, or if I have the national media, or if you see me in the all platform, because our fact and figures are just based on the data. Okay. So that is number one. And number two is that we talk about climate disaster, climate emergency, climate action plan, so many whatever emotional word you use, it will be less actually. My English may not be that much to speak. That means it will be very very less to tell what is happening. Okay, so that's the kind of what we see actually. Okay, so if you see anything like anything you take, like 1.4 this year in winter, you got 8 number of cold wave days this year. This was earlier in 2008. Then also this is winter and summer when we talk, like you have something like Kirtanpura Mangesarpur Sports Complex coming temperature 48 and 50. Okay, so these are the figures actually. But when you come to size, many of them how come the temperature over Delhi is higher than the temperature over Rajasthan. So I can tell that urban temperature is cannot compare to the temperature over Rajasthan. The land use, land cover, the exposure completely. Urban temperature may very high. We don't know. We did not have observation earlier. Here we started the urban survey, meteorological, and just to get the data. This is the data coming up. Okay. So you have an area where highly intense urban structure are there. Pithampura you have seen, hardly any park is there. But nobody would never goes 40, 50, even 43, 44. Within the time series within the norm, or maybe some higher than the norm. So that figure here distances. So that is number one and number two. And then coming to the subject, as I told you, that like in the morning I was thinking what to do actually there. So my Prof was with my mouth, but cat was with them. Habit never goes. Okay. You might have asked yourself, भगवान भी बोलता है ना कि आदमी मरने के बाद उसका हाबिट जाता है, उसकी जो प्रैक्टिस, उसकी जो कैरी करता है ना, वो after death the bad nature goes, because that was incurred actually from very beginning, even Amit's last advice, कल करो क्या, हम नहीं करते, अभी भी नहीं करते, अभी you might have known there are calculation, the water, how much it goes to the drain because of our habits. So I don't think any big action or government agenda will fulfill those promise. Like you want zero emission from thermal plants by something like 2070 or something like that. So each individual, I think, has a role to play. So how much it can be, play in this mitigation. So individual needs to play actually. Last scale so hota rahega. We don't know. It can shift actually. Like earlier, you have the one in Paris where you told that this much you will do by something. 2030 you will do by 2040. But latest 2022, COP 27, it has come. What it is telling? Nothing has been done. 10% increase हो गया. Kind of situation we are working. So इसीलिए कुछ भी बोलने से पहले, कुछ भी लिखने से पहले, one should be educated enough. ऐसे बकबक करना बहुत गलत है. And topic like climate change, topic like natural disaster, or topic like a trend, or fact and figure, it should be authenticated from the concerned website or research paper. Peer review training, peer review research paper. It should be peer review. It should not be academic newspaper, or it should be anywhere platform. Even in magazine also, it should be peer review. So that's, our USA, how you can, how you can help actually. You can see, these are not the new message, these are the old message you can see. कि आप ऐसा करें, आप वेजिटेरियन बने, आप साइकिल यूज करें, देख रहे हैं ना आप लोग, सभी को मालूम है साइकिल यूज करें, सभी को मालूम है 1 kg of chicken how much, you know it, and or 1 kg of 1 liter of milk or anything, you know it, and 1 kg of rice, you know it. We have to see all these. I don't know how. I was reading an article that they are telling that if you read, the historical part of the science, actually why irrigation has come up for Punjab again, because their annual rainfall is 500 millimeters, 50 millimeters. Why the irrigation did not come over Odisha here? Because their annual rainfall is 150 millimeters. It's as simple as it is. It's not कि वो लोग रीज बन गए, वो लोग बना गया, ऐसा नहीं है. उनके पास बारिश, अदर को वेस्ट लाहौर में रेन 300 millimeters. West annual rainfall 250 millimeters. At Kabul, hardly rain नहीं है. Yeah, so बना दिया आपने irrigation, आप electricity. This is my personal. It's not my government of India or my position. It's just I am just not going to interact very. If you see, like in Punjab, when you have high irrigation and you are giving free electricity or water, they will put more rice in it. ठीक है ना? बट आप इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बंद कर दो और फर्टिलाइजर का सब्सिडी बंद कर दो, आप उनको कैश दे दो, they will switch over from rice to other kind of crop which is climate friendly. मैं सभी को मालूम है 1 kg of rice के लिए कितना लीटर पानी लगता है आपको, तो ये सारा हिसाब किताब आपका सामने है, पूरी चीज बुक पढ़े individual level or community level, many things. Next. Very interesting. You can see also that our Prime Minister is very particular and we have started a lot of initiatives. So like for environment, something like green or solar energy international platform. Can you just go through? You please see this slide. I am not able to complete, but please tell me when that 15 minutes completed. 25 minutes, 40 I must complete. So you can see, there are many green initiatives next. Yeah, so this you have seen. So this is the summary, wherever you go, the top class university, this is the summary. If you are working in climate change, you have to work in something like from surface के सॉइल में से क्या है, बाउंड्री लेयर क्या है, और उसके क्या प्रोसेसेस है, क्लाउड कैसे बनता है, वो क्लाउड जाके ग्रीन हाउस कैसे कंडेंसेशन निकले, मोर इन द ग्रीन हाउस, अर्बन क्लाउड कैसे होते हैं, तो नो एंड एक्चुअली. अर्बन रेनफॉल, अर्बन क्लाउड कलर इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम, there are a lot of interaction and a lot of changes occurring in the atmosphere, and that also average up with the climate change आएगा, सभी को मालूम है, whether it's instant value of the parameter, meteorological parameter. Climate is average of a day, average of a month, something like that. Daily climate होता है, मतलब 3rd January के दिल्ली में टेम्परेचर क्या होता है लास्ट 100 years, है क्लाइमेटोलॉजी. हम 3rd January 100 days के एक्सेल में बना दे. Very simple actually. I visited recently to one Plain University in Pune. Students started working in our big pond. मजा आता है. At the age of say class 11, somebody has analyzed the temperature rainfall times in over Delhi. So you can imagine जब वो डिग्री कंप्लीट करेगा, उसको माइंड में रहेगा कि ऐसा चीज होता है, देखा मैं हाथ में किया. So this is the we know actually I was telling 1 degree होगा, 0.9 degree होगा, फर्क उसमें फिगर्स में नहीं. But when you are writing, don't clear write 0.9 or 1.1. तो देखता है इतना चेंजेस. The fact is that what you are writing in that you see, whether it is authenticated or आपका फील के साथ है ना, वो आना चाहिए. Then this is interesting. This yearable rise which was there, accelerated. Years में अगर 1 मिलीमीटर बढ़ता था per 20 years, आजकल उसकी 3 गुना बढ़ता है in last 30 years. ठीक है ना? तो इसीलिए हम लोग जब वेदर क्लाइमेट बोलते हैं, बॉम्बे में अगर 3 बार होता था more than 200 millimeter rainfall in a year, अभी 5 बार हो रहा है. So that's I want to tell that the severity and the frequency of the extreme weather events have been increasing. सीवियरिटी मतलब दिल्ली में अगर कोल्ड वेव 4 दिन होता था, इट में भी 8 days, और अगर 4 दिन होता था in 5 years, it will be 3 times in 10 years. Say from 2020 to 2030, it will be 3 times in that 10 years. So this is, but कहाँ से आता क्या होता है वो very difficult to analyze. Attribution, mitigation, वो तो बहुत ही चैलेंज है. डाटा एनालिसिस आप कर लीजिए एक्सेल शीट में. एट्रीब्यूशन क्यों हो रहा है? हमारा कैरेक्टर जनरल से बहुत ही मतलब ये वर्क इन लॉट ऑफ प्लेटफॉर्म इंडस्ट्री. एट्रीब्यूशन हम नहीं करते जब तक हमको साइंटिफिकली नहीं मिलता है मॉडल में. अगर वही करके अगर वही फीडबैक मिलता है देन वी कैन. आई डोंट नॉट टेल कि दिल्ली में कोल्ड वेव हो गया, वहाँ अंटार्कटिका में मेल्ट हो गया स्नो, ऐसे बोलना बहुत गलत. तो एट्रीब्यूट अनटिल अनलेस वी आर साइंस में तो मैंने बताया ना जो पहला स्लाइड था कि यू कैन क्रिएट अ स्मॉल 1D model or 2D model or 3D model. Other panel members are there, they will also deliver on the details. Yes. This is very interesting. मतलब दिल्ली में 2 साल के बाद कोहरा इस साल हुआ डेंस फॉग. आपने देखा होगा जो एक्स मास के आसपास शुरू हुआ रफली अराउंड 12 जनवरी 15 तारीख को आसमान खोला. So within that 20 days Shimla was a higher temperature, clear sky sunlight. So this article came. मतलब लोगों को sunlight के लिए शिमला भी चलेगी. तो दिल्ली प्लेन्स में थोड़ा कम होना चाहिए फॉग, लेकिन पॉल्यूशन और बहुत सारा पैरामीटर आजकल प्लेन्स में जो फेवर करता है इसे लार्ज स्केल पूरा दिन रात रहने के लिए. You know, you can get in the Google also. I have article in current science also. You can see. So this is the this is the happening last 5 years. These are the certain figures which are actually I can tell that these are the some events which are severe and which are also cover longer period. Spells we call it spell. But the interesting part is that if you see like 2019, 2020 or 2021 even we have a lot of cyclones. Artist 4, you know, आप आंखन लीजिए या कौटे लीजिए, you know, they were there. But 2022 नहीं है. But 2020, please, 2021 में heat wave cold wave नहीं. बहुत सरप्राइज है भाई. क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से हर साल हीट वेव होना चाहिए. But 2021 अगर दिल्ली में आप रिमेम्बर किए होंगे only temperature cross 41-42 मतलब longer period या ज़्यादा दिन का. But 2022 में right from March end it was continued till June 30. And incidentally this recent summer और ये winter सबसे intense था last 5 years. ठीक है ना. तो क्लाइमेट चेंज ऐसा नहीं कि आपको एकदम तापमान बढ़ के ऐसे नहीं है. वो मैं बार यही बोल रहा हूँ कौन सा मतलब ऐसा स्पाइक करेगा यू डोंट नो कि आपको कहीं भागना पड़ेगा. As a weatherman, I can tell India that way. Is the footprint, and like Canada footprint, the footprint and severity sometimes somewhere will be seen. So which is very severe. Okay, so that is the point I can get. सर देखा होगा इस साल मानसून में अगस्त एंड तक बारिश पूरा -20% उतार कर रहा. का प्रोडक्शन बहुत ही कम था. और पंजाब का जो मार्च एंड तक जो टेम्परेचर क्रॉस मार्च में निकला उसमें द क्रॉप प्रोडक्शन रिड्यूस बाय 15% इन मार्च 22. So that way actually if you see these are the common city का तो और द रेनफॉल दिल्ली में तो 2021 मानसून में 7 heavy rainfall event हुआ था which is highest in 122 years. So again I am only emphasizing the severity and you know the duration of the high impact weather. That is the thing. मानसून बहुत बड़ा मानसून का जो इंडियन मानसून और साउथ एशियन मानसून बहुत बड़ा कॉम्पैक्ट रोबस्ट की सिग्नेचर नहीं मिलता है इम्पैक्ट ऑफ द क्लाइमेट चेंज. इतना आप देखिए 122 ईयर का रेनफॉल टाइम से आपका सामने ऊपर में मैंने लीनियर प्लान फिट करने में नहीं मिलता है क्योंकि वो बहुत ही रोबस्ट है. उसकी लिंक बहुत दूर है. माडागास्कर साउथ 30 डिग्री से लेकर के हिमालय नॉर्थ ऑफ 40 है. हाउ मेनी किलोमीटर 1000 किलोमीटर नॉर्थ साउथ ईस्ट प्लेस में तो है ही है. एलिनो आप लोग देखा है पैसिफिक के साथ है और सभी के साथ अटलांटिक के साथ है. तो इसलिए वो रेस्पॉन्ड नहीं करता है But if you take decadal kind of thing, it responds certainly. But nothing established in monsoon can affect the area wise it might be affecting somewhere less rainfall, somewhere more rainfall. Because temperature तो हमारा 0.7, 0.8 last जो 1950 or 1901 से नहीं. But special it affected some area rainfall कम हो रहा है. जैसे नॉर्थ ईस्ट आप देखें होंगे last 5 years में relatively less है. Yeah, these are the special variation of the rainfall and temperature. Temperature सारा जगह में बढ़ रहा है. तो सभी को मालूम है. Temperature goes and increasing each station everywhere. These are the heavy rainfall using number. तो कैसे भी आप analysis करिए. You see different analysis, different intensity. More than 1200 numbers लीजिए. 3.2 station के कर लीजिए all India. So last right side corner below, you can see the events have increased 2 to 3 times in almost हमारे पास जो data है. तो सभी को मालूम है. Heavy rainfall number of heavy rainfall events have increased very much due to impact of the climate change. You can see it was earlier something like 2 or 3 per some kilometer, but now increased to 6 or something like that. 2 to 6. So these are the different time periods of the heavy rainfall. One can see also next. This is the, I think, similar some parameter I am giving you how they are responded also. Yes. This is very interesting. That told you date I was telling from 1969. You can see we have taken in 2008 and 2023 January we are 8 So you can see it. So even मतलब सभी लोग बोलते हैं कि कोड में होना नहीं चाहिए, but वो भी उसके साथ आ जाता है क्योंकि आपका फॉग आ गया है ना. फॉग these are kind of coupled system. If you have more irrigation, more moisture, wind speed less हो रहा है और फॉग लंबा टाइम रहता है, तो उसको लेके वो भैया इतना दूर में भाग के ये आ गया. Our Delhi or North Indian plains, these are happening. This is also fog frequency. Fog frequency has been 3 times increased if you see 70 data. जब आपका green revolution नहीं हुआ था, green revolution की वजह से change in the cloud pattern 30-40 साल पहले जो winter season में ऐसे ही कुछ नहीं होता था, पानी नहीं होता था, अभी पानी ही पानी रहता है. तो इसलिए frequency because pollution also pollution added and more is the pollution, more will be particular some droplets. Rainfall आसाम में कम हो गया, but इस बार बहुत ज़्यादा हुआ. And Delhi क्या you see how many extreme high rainfall events are there next. So that's the kind of आपको जब आप ऐसे देखेंगे कि आपका मतलब you try to be what I will tell you. आपको कहाँ जाना है, you have to attend a meeting and you find your book, kind of water. So this is very मतलब challenging. मतलब like somebody is in Uttarakhand or somebody is in Assam. वो नदियों से पानी बरसता है, वो umbrella लेके पानी, because that means muddy water, that means the landslide, तो पानी water पीने के लिए नहीं है. तो आपका सारा planning में अलग हो जाता है. More is the severe weather event which affect the society in a various ways. Actually, there's one is that you have multi-full scale hazard क्या होगा? Heavy rainfall आप साइक्लोन का मालूम है, एक तो कम सोल होता है, एक हेवी रेनफॉल होता है, एक स्ट्रांग विंड रहता है, मल्टीपल हजार्ड होता है, जिसको बोलते हैं मल्टीपल हजार्ड. तो दैट कम्स. You can see that the cartoon shows how she has gone for collection of water, but पानी उधर ही जा रहा है. Next question I just महाबलेश्वर में जो बारिश हुआ है 2021 यह 600 मिलीमीटर 3 दिन मतलब थर्सडे 21 में 622 में अगेन 625 में अगेन 600. तो you might have seen कि जो महाराष्ट्र फ्लड था 2021 अभी लास्ट इनका क्यूमुलेटिव था ऑलमोस्ट 180 सेंटीमीटर था. You can see very unique rainfall in 2021 तो आदमी तो ये करे kind of impact on the lives of the like poultry, like livestock. So these are kind of new factors. So ये दिल्ली का टेम्परेचर है और ऑल इंडिया जो हाई
क्वालिटी खराब हो गई
I think it changed.
ये इधर पे सर आ रहा है
I think Guwahati, sorry, Northeast India, the mostly the rainfall. Continuous 400 kilometers, something like 900 kilometers. So, नीचे का जो है वो देखा रहा है something like फिगर आया जो ये मेरा कुछ करते रेनफॉल बोले एक टाइम तो उसमें ऐसे लेस है आप बोला ना कि लास्ट 20-30 इयर्स में रेनफॉल उसकी टाइम से आसाम मेघालय रेनफॉल डिक्रीजिंग तो उसी के अंदर ये भी आता है कभी कभी इतना 3000 मिलीमीटर रेनफॉल realize over monsoon time during this period 11 to 21. So you can see the time after सामने रहता है and it went up to 1000 millimeter. Okay. So that is the scale actually we are looking. So the flood next Brahmaputra continued I think almost next. So these are some of the data. You see this slide also next. So this is the March temperature. It is the highest all India temperature, Northwest India temperature. You can see the value. April also second highest, Northwest India 18th highest. So that is the kind of data is here. So the days or something like that. The days I was talking 2010 में जितना था 2022 but इतना साल के बाद हो रहा है लेकिन next 30 years में आपको पास कर पाते हैं because I told you ना जो 10 साल में अगर 2 बार होता था वो अभी 10 साल में हर साल होगा है ना that is the some year like 2020 2021 बहुत cold year है ना और सबको मालूम होगा कि we have लानिना पर लास्ट में ही ऐसा पढ़े होंगे कि लानिना होने के बाद भी लास्ट में ही 3 ईयर मतलब इतना बड़ा कोल्ड होने के बाद भी आपका ग्लोबल टेम्परेचर डिड नॉट डिक्रीज है नेक्स्ट this is the value of this summer actual station value तो दिल्ली का ये हम लोग का ठीक है ऐसे डिफरेंट लोकेशन इस बार हम लोग 13 स्टेशन सब लोग को यही भय था कि अपना से लोगों को देंगे तो लोगों को भय पैदा होगा तो इसलिए हम लोग पहला 2 साल नहीं ले सकते कि ठीक है हम लोग फेस करेंगे तो पीपल आर बीपीएल मीडिया यू कैन टेल कि ओपन प्लेटफॉर्म टेम्परेचर कैन सॉर्ट ऑफ ठीक है अदर लाइक कनाडा वहाँ क्या डेटा है क्या राजस्थान है क्या वहाँ क्यों हो जाता है तो मैं यही बोलूंगा कि
वो सीट खाली होगी उसमें अपने बोलने
मतलब want to help to the society we should convince people कि ये जो है ये फैक्ट है और हमें क्या करना है क्या नहीं करना है that is the other way तो इसीलिए वो फिगर आपके सामने रखा कि मतलब you always see कि क्या आ रहा है क्या वैल्यू आ रहा है हर साल तो आपका पब्लिश होता है ना IPCC करता है WMO करता है हमारे देश में भी होता है इंडिया से पेपर भी आता है आप उसी को ज्यादा ध्यान दीजिए just move the slide so this is one interesting actually I also try to read this this is the working group of IPCC 2022 what it tells actually it tells कि हम सबको मालूम है ठीक है ना हम सबको मालूम है कि कहाँ से शुरू करेंगे जैसे ह्यूमन सोसाइटी है ठीक है ना अगर वो लिविंग करता नहीं है एडाप्टेशन और ये गोल विद प्रेजेंट प्रैक्टिस ठीक है ना कुछ नहीं पीने से लगा के चलो एक बड़ा कार्य के अंदर चलो रियल लाइफ में बंद मत करो ऐसे कर करके अगर जाएगा वो एंड अप करेगा क्या करेगा इसमें वो साइकिल देता है इम्पैक्ट अगर वो इकोसिस्टम को बायोडाइवर्सिटी इसको अडॉप्ट करता है तो व्हाट इज विल शो तो दैट फर्स्ट स्लाइड बट सेकंड स्लाइड में वो बोलता है कि अगर हमें इफ वी अडॉप्ट एवरीथिंग ठीक है ना आप अपना घर का सामने ग्रीन रखिए है ना आप ऐसे जब भी न्यू हाउस यू आर कंस्ट्रक्टिंग यू सी दैट नेचुरल सनलाइट इज देयर यू बी वेरी पर्टिकुलर ठीक है ना अगर ऐसे आप अडॉप्ट कर लेते रियली आप एक क्लाइमेट वॉरियर है यू आर रियली ए क्लाइमेट वॉरियर आप एकदम ड्रास्टिक और एग्रेसिव अडॉप्ट करिए ठीक है ना तो व्हाट इज टेलिंग कि लाइक जहां भी जलाशय है जहां भी लेके वो तो नेचुरल होगा ही होगा आपने देखा होगा बहुत सारा महामानव देखा है करके ठीक है ना अगर each individual will do help the ecosystem, like in the writing ecosystem transition, land into land cover, coastal, everything you will add up. Then it will be written back into PBR, something you can imagine. Otherwise, it will be very challenging. That is the kind of, you keep reading the IPCC, so he has given different colors for good. Color is not coming, and we know that exposure and like vulnerability and hazard. जैसे कोई भी जगह जगह है आपका घर है तो आपका घर वहाँ बना हुआ है नदी का किनारे जहाँ भी है but if you make that such a way you can face such a height of the flood so then you are out of the flood. That is number one. And number two flood का जो extreme आता है वो भी कम हो जाएगा you will go back or your temperature will get so then you need actually a very big adjustment. So this is the animation on that aspect. So these जो है ना इसकी जो six component है उसमें आपको there are some six components they are defined. तो six component आप कैसे जाना चाहिए जैसे आप अगर साइकिल करिए और बहुत सारा फिगर्स है if you go to that website you will get detail. आप आईपीसी से मतलब बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है बहुत ग्राफिकल है आप आईपीसी से विजिट करिए ये जो है ना इसको आप क्लिक करेंगे ना इसमें बहुत सुंदर मतलब दिखाई देगा आपको इसके जो कंपोनेंट्स है the components are very very interesting to see natural gas solution तो सभी को मालूम है क्या करना क्या नहीं करना है फिर like that each component will help you to reduce the carbon footprint building कैसा होना चाहिए ट्रांसपोर्ट कि इंटीग्रेटेड होना चाहिए fully ठीक है और उसके बाद इधर साइकिल आप जा रहे हो इधर क्या आप साइकिल में मन नहीं करेगा ना साइकिल लेने के लिए इसमें मतलब हाईएस्ट प्राइस आप पेरेंट्स होंगे तो आप देखेंगे कि उनकी पूरा डिवाइडिंग उनकी जो भाग है जैसे रास्ता का ना पूरा 4 भाग में डिवाइड लाइक दैट something has to be very serious and then energy तो energy is the most challenging and energy पैसा चाहिए आपको टेक्नोलॉजी चाहिए ऐसा कुछ टेक्नोलॉजी मिल जाए कि मतलब ऐसे ही दबा के एनर्जी मिल जाए कहीं से तो एनर्जी का अगर कोई टेक्नोलॉजी मिल जाए तो यू विल नेवर गेट यू विल नेवर बिकम से आपको एनीथिंग है बट गॉड हैज मेड द वर्ल्ड सच ए बैलेंस एक्चुअली तो वो टेक्नोलॉजी कहां तक पॉसिबल है दैट इज वन
डिस्कनेक्ट कर दिया
and agriculture food and waste इसमें मैं 1 minute लेकर आई एंड मैं this agriculture food agriculture का मैंने आपको बताया पंजाब के बारे में my personal
वीडियो क्वालिटी क्लियर नहीं आ रही
अभी तो मुझे ओनली एक साल के अंदर मालूम हुआ कि फूड वेस्ट जनरेट वेरी हाई कार्बन or something like that. I learned. I was in Bhopal in the annual conference. He was telling very senior in Chairperson. I have started one NGO to stop the food waste. तो फिर बात हुआ I was reading certain article कि ऐसा टाइम 20 years के बाद आए तो आप एक मेनू भेजेंगे तो मेनू में ये तो 2 रोटी खाना है मुझे तो 5 ग्राम या 10 ग्राम दाल खाना है 16 कोटा में लिखो फ्री डिजाइन एक्टिविटी आपने तो बहुत किया ना तो अगर आपको रियली वांट टू वील दिस इज द वे फूड वेस्ट शुड बी स्टॉप्ड एट एनी कॉस्ट क्योंकि आपको 1 केजी राइस के लिए अगर 20 लीटर पानी जाता है तो दैट शुड नॉट बी वेस्ट एक्चुअली so you can imagine कि कितना बड़ा responsibility है we have to do a lot actually in this part actually अब food waste का just see IPCC what it has done what it is telling actually it is telling how the food waste can be minimized or can be channelized to the needy ठीक है ना तो ये मतलब ये बहुत जरूरी है तो इसलिए I would suggest that you just read the IPCC 2022 different working group report on adaptation and mitigation. Okay, thank you. So this is my talk. So how we will be discussion at the end of the panel. So I can invite the panel to also be sir. So you can take the part. Thank you for your attention.
afternoon. You know, and the topic which organizers have given me, that is solidarity. I think we need to come together. Namaste.
Namaste, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So, respected Dr. Jenamani ji, Professor Kaushal Sharma ji, and colleagues who are there, and their students. When the organizers contacted me, they very strictly asked me to speak only on two topics. One is solidarity, and another is climate finance. And let me tell you, I was a very good classroom boy. So whatsoever teacher has ever asked me, I have always tried following this. So I will limit myself only to these two topics. Though the climate change is, it is a huge subject. And you have just heard Dr. Jenamani ji, and when he was talking about, there are so much of complexities, so much of uncertainties which are there across the, globe. And people even talk about extraterrestrial forces and climate change and things. So one person can't touch upon everything for sure. But when it comes to climate change, today it has actually become a language. Everybody is talking about this. And everybody is trying to understand this. But still, there are groups globally who still debate if change is off. No, is it reality? Many people still say, you have heard of that Donald Trump? Yes. So for those kind of people, they will not believe as if climate change is happening. And you have seen him in 5 years and the kind of policies which have come. Many a times, people also feel as if scientific community, environmentalists, they have tried to overrate the impacts of climate. That is again. The truth is not that they have overrated it. The truth is, a set of people believes. Do you believe so? Is it? Wonderful. So we have a wonderful person over here. So if that is true, even if one vote comes for that, then there should be a belief that it is not going to affect us at all. But if you see historically the kind of that are happening to us, even in last 20 years, you might have observed some of the graphs. So therein, what we have understood that the frequency and the intensity of some of the extreme events have actually increased. It means something is happening. And if you talk about what is that something, so scientific community has actually zeroed down that greenhouse gases are increasing. Those are changing the global warming processes, and because of that, your temperature and precipitation increase. There is kind of extreme. If you try following AR6, the recent report of IPCC, it very categorically tells us that the intensity of hazards and disasters are going to increase. You simply try to plot down the things which have happened in the last 5 years. You will gradually feel that yes, these kind of things are practically being seen. For quite good time, Europeans, Americans, they were not feeling so. They were feeling as if it is a problem of, Asian countries. It is a problem of poor countries. It is a problem of underdeveloped countries. It is a problem of developing countries. And that is the problem. That people were not taking it that seriously. If you try to visualize a world map, and if you look at, presentation of developed and developing come under, you will see there is a clear-cut line between these two. And we simply call it as north-south divide. Get to see that kind of, bifurcation. Try to put rich and poor countries, then again similar kind of bifurcation. If you try to put planned and unplanned countries, even such type of bifurcation comes. And even if you put disaster and no disaster, probably 10 years back, or not even 10 years back, 5 years back, that kind of bifurcation was distinct. But now, if you try to look at wildfires in Australia, heat stress in Central Europe, Canada, floods, cyclones in US, same is happening in Pakistan, same is happening in India, similar is happening in Bangladesh and many of the Asia. You don't see any divide because it is a global phenomenon and it is actually happening across the globe and it is affecting everyone. And there is a point we need to call for, COP27 people talked about. That the entire set of countries, irrespective of their sizes, irrespective of rich, poor, developed, underdeveloped, and planned, unplanned, all those kind of things, they need to come together. And it has actually become climate crisis. And the generation which is representing you from here, they have tried discovering it, if I may say so, inventing it, understanding it, communicating it, negotiating it, participating in conventions, and also recommending something. So sitting on that side, they have to take this forward. And intergenerational gap need to be. You actually need to understand. Many a times you will get to hear some people say, my generation has not done this. Now it is all up to you. It's not like that. People have actually understood it. People have actually realized this problem. People have also contributed to this problem. It's not that it has come from somewhere else. And at some point of time, people like me or the generation before me, we have contributed to this. But believe me, it all started from 3 bigger continents. America, Europe, and a subcontinent, China. They are the biggest polluters. And most of the countries which had started facing the impact of this, they were probably the least contributors. They're still on the pathways of development. They are yet to develop their infrastructure. They are yet to provide electricity to their all citizens, food, water, you name it, the life support system, those kind of things. So we need solidarity in terms of across the continents, across the countries, across the generation. We need to talk about sustainable development. We need to realize that there are some set of sustainable development goals which are listed, and each that goal actually means very important and urgent need for each of the countries. If you try turning pages, you will get to understand that prior to SDGs, there was something called as poverty and some kind of, if I recall it correct, something related to literacy. They were simply looking at only developing countries. They were feeling as if the developed countries have already arrived to the level humanity seeks. But probably not. And that is the reason we have come to SDGs. And SDGs are needed across the spectra of this globe. Herein, the second topic which is given to me, climate finance, it becomes the cornerstone of climate change. And everything is depending on this. It is also costlier. Managing things, whether you call it mitigation, some kind of instrument which can pull down that greenhouse gas, that is what people call mitigation in a layman language. Or you talk about adaptation, it means the variations which are taking place, some way to handle or readjust yourself to that. With technology. So finance becomes something very important. All might have heard, in COP21, Paris Agreement, these countries and specifically, US, it announced that we'll be investing $100 billion per year. And the timeline which was there, that was somewhere between 2009, 15 kind of thing. And 194 countries or parties, they were signatory. And then they thought, by 2020, what may come, we'll be able to do. But the reality is, in 2021, they said, by 2023, we'll try to achieve all this. It is a sheer failure of entire mankind. Entire mankind, that the set of countries which are resourceful in terms of the kind of services which are needed for human existence, they have committed something, but they are not following their words. That is something which is biggest problem. And what they are doing, even in those periods, was said that by 20 or once it will be realized, then it will become the bottom line, and there will be add-on, cherry on the top of this, and all developed countries will be contributing to that. We see the way these kind of things are happening. Less than 1/3 of the investment which they have done, with only that is matching somewhere expectations. Others all are kind of altogether different type of investments which are not hitting on to requirements of climate change. And the way they are giving money, it is something called as loan. They are giving money on interest. So climate change can't be addressed like this. You actually need to provide it for the larger social cost. Because somewhere these countries have actually contributed to the state which we all are in as on date. You might have heard of name John Kelly. He is American climate envoy, and in one of the meetings, he literally threatened the people. If the language remains as if that climate pact is a legal binding, US will withdraw. And if you try following COP, which was there in Glasgow, and the COP which was there in Egypt, US and China was literally missing. Because they are not actually coming out from their comfort to address something which they have contributed for this planet. Another thing what they are worried about, the NDCs, nationally determined commitments. Each of the country it has put forward something. They want to raise the bar. They want these poor, small island countries, developing countries, they should have much higher amount of commitments. They want net zero commitment by 2030 or 2050, which is impossible. Which is impossible for aspiring countries or economies like India, which is still in path of development. So we need to look at from these perspectives, and then we will get to understand that the amount of loan is increasing greatly. Which was order of 70%, now it is reaching to 75%. And the grants which were committed over there, those are increasing. So that this balance is taking place. So all these small island countries, they have actually come as a hotspot rather a tight spot. And they are not able to do anything. And these developed countries, they are asking for transparency. If we give you $100, where are you putting it in? Loss and damages, the damages which are permanent in nature, which have resulted because of sea level rise, which has resulted because of landslides, cyclones, and such kind of things. So we need to rethink about all these kind of things. And fortunately, India has actually taken a lead. If I can call it, it's like a big brother kind of role it has played in Glasgow. If you remember the Prime Minister of the country speaking there in Glasgow, he talked about Panchtantra. He talks about CDRI. He talks about bringing people under one sun on a single planet. It means somewhere our commitments which are over there for renewable energy, those are very, very important and very much demanding. But again, some set of people, they feel, shall we be able to do it at all? If it is only India, yes, we are doing it. There are examples wherein all the targets which were made for renewable energy, we have actually increased those. Now we are talking about order of 500 gigawatts. There are only two trade-offs. One, you invest more on these technologies. Government is talking about green hydrogen. I hope you all have heard of. Hydrogen is practically colorless gas. All chemists might be knowing it better than me. But still you have brown, grey, blue, and now green. And probably sometime you will get turquoise.
There are only green and blue hydrogen. There are only green and the way we are
No, they are not. Let us not debate here, but it will be good you should. And if you can get something information, please. I will get more. But still, so what you are doing, you have a generation of renewable energy. From wood, you have some coal. From coal, you have some oil. From oil, you have some gas. And now we are talking about more renewable energy. At each stage, hydrogen was being developed. These all stages have base and now when you are doing it without any carbon footprint, that is what people call green hydrogen. So that is something which is being talked today. So we still need to look at the way it was agreed in Paris that it will be a legal binding on $100 billion per year. That should remain there. Otherwise, meeting the challenges of climate change always. So I was talking about India, the way it is investing into this. So playing a very important role, bringing all Swan, island and other kind of countries together. It has very high emissions, renewable energy, and also renewable energy to these smaller countries. So there will be huge amount of export is expected out of it. However, at one dependency on fossil fuels, 90% of renewable energy was being imported. So, Atmanirbhar Bharat, the term is being used by the government. It is converting something to reality. However, on the other side, when climate funding is finance being talked about, so people are not taking 5.5 as the benchmark. We have already crossed one, and they are shifting it to 2 degrees. However, rest of the world talks about still 1.5. So finance is changing by 0.5. It appears to be very small, but think about life, the diversity, on which our livelihood is dependent, on which our dependency is. So these all are highly sensitive, even 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 kind of. So the larger question is what do you want? What you have now, or what there should be. What should be must for the living of every day. Only the committed finance climate fund, if that could be realized, probably we will be able to come to what there must be. This was all I thought I should share with you. If you have any kind of question, I will be happy to attempt. Thank you.
I can tell, so I just continue. So you just give some genuine thoughts. Your mind must be triggering ना कि मुझे मेरा मन में ये आता है. Without any hesitation, right how to get it out. Because we are also working in register. So we are also working in I represent very good. For the weather plan in the shower and degree. Whether you can understand whether you are planning to so यही बोलते हैं कि सारा आप लोगों को बारिश हो गया तो ये नहीं गया तो ये नहीं कि कोई आएगा भाई ऐसा रहेगा ये वो एनवायरमेंट है उनको पूछो। वेटरनेस होता है कि सर्विस इतनी इंटीग्रेट, इसलिए आप लोग ना थोड़ा अपने मन में क्या क्वेश्चन
You are requested to keep your questions, and at the end we have a question answer round. Therefore, you'll be asked to ask your questions to the respective panelists. So please keep them ready with you. Thank you, Professor Nigam.
Good afternoon, sir.
I really thank you for calling me up to this title. I don't know how you think that I'm in diplomacy and negotiation. It feels like every time during negotiations, I think it's a game where I think they have diplomacy and they have helped me in negotiating many things in life. Game college is a place where there's no negotiation and no diplomacy. Quite confident and lucky to decide for many years. The different scenarios there, I have to negotiate my issues there, and then I have to be more diplomat. That's also I'm a dog. But thanks to the organizers for inviting me to this site today. Maybe to speak on the topic that the organization has, your organization has you work on. At the same time, you have kept the youth for our thought, reshaping. Important words in that reshaping climate. Wow. The second one is the diplomacy. And the third one, the era of uncertainty. So today, what we are going to play on is in the era of uncertainty. Nothing is stable. It's all uncertain. Life is uncertain. The climate is uncertain. Therefore, it has not been today. It has past. Uncertainty exists and uncertainty of life. We always live and we work on this side. The second part is that diplomacy is political. How you negotiate with wises. And then reshape that climate. Pragmatically, I have been going for a long time on ecological restoration, which I say. Maybe a part of micro level. I can reshape the climate issues, making the effect towards climate change. This is what I work on. This is what I work on. This I hope kind of India, you have the very high mountains where snow is. And then they come down to 2,000 down there, and everybody is warm the whole time here. And then you have, say, on one side, the desert side, the other side, you have the outside, you have the mountains. Between you have a desert, you have islands, mountains. India is a very diversified country. So India has a large scope to negotiate internationally. We do not have a uniform conditions from month January to December. They all are different. The landscape is different. The people are different. When there is a differentiation, then we have taken the help differentiated responsibility towards becoming that is what recently put by the Prime Minister. So keeping that in mind, developed an idea where we should negotiate. There can be a reason for negotiation. There has to be a conflict for negotiation. Or a negotiation without a conflict. Environment and climate change, there's no conflict. But there's a need for negotiation. And there is a hidden negotiation. You do not know intentional people. Why do you want to negotiate? For example, how do people negotiate with your parents? You negotiate every day with your parents. A child negotiates with the mother and the father. They are forced at home to accept. That means that a child is more diplomat because he will say, I want this toy. When he's in a shop, listening to him, and you start crying to him, and you start crying. This is diplomat. Why he say then? It's a point of time. And the child is so wise, when I cry, but I stop you, not to cry, and I'm trying to give you a toy. This is a negotiation. So negotiation is born phenomenon in the human being. It is learned for one period of time to meet different people, different state of life. So that means that diplomacy is not a new phenomenon. Negotiation is the characteristic feature of human being. They've been doing it for a long time. And at the same time, when we try to look at voices as a treat as a issues to read. The poor people cannot negotiate very people. Their voices are not heard. Understand that? So for example, comes to a class. A teacher people speaking for 2 hours. And the end he says, okay, I finished my class. Never negotiate. You never discuss because say, I will be exposed to my weaknesses. Therefore, the negotiation ends at the best part is learn know how to negotiate outside. That has to be there. The question that arises is different. India has to negotiate. India has to negotiate for how many 40 crore people. You understand? And all people are similar. And India has to negotiate for all different kind of the geographical features and the kind of climate conditions. It's all very different. So much of uncertainty for India to negotiate from where to begin and where to end up the negotiation. It's a complex situation for the Indian politicians that are pretty well in these terms of the variations existing. Begin the negotiation delay for a long period of time. And then what is low voice? Indira Gandhi in 1970, the first population raised the issue that environment degradation, poverty existing in India. Leaking. And the world started what she said. But for that she had an equation, she did not give it. But equation lies. If you are understanding the climate, I say, the geographer. I study humans or population. I study environment. I study the space. I study the time. 1970 was the time when India was grappling poverty and was willing to come to India for development. Aid was not there in any form. Why is this soft? I missed it at one time. Gandhi raised the issue of poverty. The vice said it. Let me just put equation. This is very helpful, and today the India negotiating all that they don't say, but the negotiation. And the diplomacy still rise in the poverty. for the first world is that the population is low, per capita consumption is high, therefore their environment losses is also very high. That means both of them are equal polluters of the environment. We agree with me? Only the third one has to be blamed for the environmental degradation in the name of the poverty or in the name of the consumption. But my consumption is low, but their consumption is high. USA alone consumes 42% of natural resources. India with 18% of population uses only 2% of the resources. Who is the bigger? Who has to negotiate with the losses of the environment? USA has to negotiate. But we don't have a voice to negotiate, therefore the grouping needs to be done. Maybe we fall in group 77 or maybe in the basic group. But the bigger power players, they have a great say in negotiations. And India being very poor, and other countries, those who are associated, do not that India should grow economically. Otherwise, their voices will go up. The negotiation will fail that happened to many of the negotiations that have failed. They have not been implemented in India. This is what the diplomacy existed in the balancing the per capita consumption and the population and then the environmental losses. So these are the thrust area where she laid. Now let me give you another question to make you understand it. That you say you have a triangle like this. Now the third world countries have a large base in natural resources. Market is low, small, and then the economic gains, that is very low at a core. That means the conversion of the natural resources to market mechanism is low, therefore your growth rate is low. And you do not have the financial surplus to bring all this into the different arena of the environmental or the society. Then look at, say, how this triangle has changed. Now the triangle has reversed like this. For the developed nation, the environment has squeezed to a zero level, market has opened up, and their resource bases have increased too large in size. Now you say they have more finances with them because they have used the maximum resources, but they have polluted the environment and they are living at the edge. So any further use of their natural resources probably lead to the losses of the environment and it cannot survive. Therefore, negotiate now with the third world nation to use their resources by bringing money into the system. Before this cycle, that exactly happened after this coup. Indira Gandhi kept on raising and she won elections also. And then towards 1988, there was the biggest drought in USA. And they had to import the wheat from the rest of the whole world. Then they wanted to alter the development style. Earlier, the first world was based on export-based development. Please mark what I say. Very important in history to understand that how it happened. Well, up to say 1988, before the drought came in, and the OPEC country became more volatile at that place, they suddenly increased the oil price. There was a second thrust to the first world, but if we have the dependency of the first world has to be on the OPEC country for oil resources, and if there is a kind of an economic crisis because of the disaster that's happening, what will happen to the growth of these first world nations? USA grows only at 1% growth rate to trillions of dollars, and we are growing at 10 to 9 to 8%. We are still falling short from our home requirement. A big issue for us. And 1988, at that point of time, the first world altered the model of development. They said we will not use our resources, but we will try to fund the third world nation to grow their or use their resources. And that was the time from where the carbon footprints started increasing for the third world nation. The money, what Indira Gandhi said, now started coming to the third world nation in the name of development and using their resources. And then you compare the value of money, 1 rupee and then the $1, how much it stands with. So that means the purchasing power for the first world is very high, and the purchasing power for the poor people is very low. Therefore, they use our resources or using our resources at a very tremendous rate from 1980 and 88 onward by bringing all their own industries and their production system into the third world nation. Now, at that point of time, we have very cheap labor and we have immense land available with us. So that is the first world understood that we have, or the third world nation had a good potential of land available for industry, one, and they have a poor, say they have large manpower as labor, and that too very cheap. And their production, and that is how it has impacted the WTO. That's a different story, I will not touch upon that, but still, the WTO negotiation failed because of only this, that your per capita production of the third world nation is low. Then they say, the first world, the quality of the product is low, hence you cannot enter into a market. But otherwise, they say that we have more qualified people, my production per unit is very high, my quality is high, therefore, I will enter into the world market for trade, and otherwise you cannot enter. This is another equation emerged. Then, in 1988, the first world entered into an era of from export to, then they said we will stop this reverse relation. Production countries will become the third one, and consumption countries will become the first. Therefore, they thought it's a good method because there was a reduction in the carbon print for a while, because then all these industries throughout the whole world entered into China. And China was the fastest growing country thereafter. And at that time, just after 98, the Russia collapsed, and there was the rise of capitalism. Making more money, making more profit, not looking into what environment. At the same time, the Brundtland Commission, the reports, they started coming, sustainable development came up, that we need to really look into. This is how it happened gradually. And why I say this sustainable development goals are happening toward 2008, the time of the economic crisis in US and the European nations. And India survived because of our own system. That was a big challenge at how India survived at that point of time. Now, at the same time, the Millennium Development Goals were initiated by 2015, it was complete. We started a project in Uttarakhand only to implement the Millennium Development Goal at a micro level. And that is how we were successful in changing or restoring the ecological system. Many indicators can be taken up. It's a long journey for us to be there on that side to how we understand the micro level environmental conditions which were to be taken up in that project. And still that project is on. But we changed the ways of restoring the ecological system. They are implementing all the, I think there's a long story to go about all it. But still, this is the background what I understand that how the world negotiates on. Now the question that arises is, who negotiate on whose basis? And who will be the players in negotiations? The first one has been always negotiating for poor people. And we have been always accepting it and ratifying our own environmental policy and plans. This is the story of the whole world as it is, and it's still going on and persisting. Now let me just say that where do we negotiate? There are 5 major indicators of negotiation for India as such, and for all the rest of the whole world. One is they negotiate on economic activity indicators, maybe primary, secondary, or tertiary. So these are the thrust areas, the economic activity where they have to negotiate. And how India looks at the economics of their own system of governance or maybe development, they need to pinpoint on the greenhouse gas emissions in the primary activity, or maybe the national inventories and or maybe CO emissions. Likewise, these are areas concerned for. Second is the cross-border indicators for negotiations. For that, they say the trade-related, what I said, how the trade relationship moved on and you're required to negotiate on the trade. And WTO, the breaking for all the negotiations on trade, even as on date today. And the second one is the direct investment, as what he said, our Joshi, that how much investment is coming to the third world nation in the name of investment for managing the environment as such. If you look at the figures for the UNDP as such on the investments in the environment, I hope it is the lowest investment to UNDP on the environment front. They do not want to invest in environment. They are more interested in economics. They are not interested in the environmental issues. They are not interested in environment they touch upon. They are not interested in education. They just touch upon. So merely touching upon is not a relevant responsibility to take to develop the third world nation as such. And that is where we move. The third one is the financial and risk indicators for negotiations. It is what financial, I'd say, by 2020, the first world was supposed to fund $100 billion toward what is known in Senate, toward the environmental improvement, which they have not honored their commitment as of date today. So therefore, the third world do not have a surplus to look into the environment in the first priority because the population is too high for them to be managed. So where the negotiation fails, because you are taking a responsibility at one time, but you are not honoring your responsibility on the second front. So therefore, these negotiations have a chance to fail. And then these are the physical and financial risks that still continues to be there in the system. Then another one, the negotiation has to be the government policies and the. Now let's say you develop a policy, you develop a plan that has to be ratified into the whole state. But I say that India cannot ratify all the treaties and conventions in photo as what is being given to us. Because I am not a one who creates these negotiations or conventions or treaties. So that means I am simply a part of. We don't have a great say in the whole formation of these conventions and treaties. We are simply asked to implement. Therefore, it's a big concern for it. The last one, it says, the fifth one is climate change data, as he was making mention to, immense changes are happening. No one will share the actual data of climate change happening. If they do that, then there will be again another human crime in the whole world. First one, how much changes they bring in the climate and the data is not given authentically. Even India has its own methods and procedure to share the data with you. They will not share the whole actual data that is available. And there's not only one way to look at environment is what the whole earth talks about. And this is how we work on. Now what are the, how much time have to take? Maybe another 4, 5, 10 minutes? Okay, that's right. So I'll have 5 minutes, I will wind up. There's a long story to go because we can become, well, as India, when I start speaking on this, I become emotional because we live in a country who is considered to be that they don't have any negotiating powers with them. They say they are not. We are not highly able to put our viewpoint in the global arena. Therefore, it's a matter for me as an individual and an Indian who become more emotional that we have all these strengths, but we are not able to show that strength. And recently, our Prime Minister has been able to push in the global agenda of negotiating. That's the best part he has done. And what Indira Gandhi done at that time, but that was very slow voice. But he raised the voice to a maximum today in negotiations. That is the beauty of the present governance in negotiating at a global level, and they have started listening to India as a major player in the whole arena of development, plus in the environment concern of the whole world. So this is a way to look at in terms for, and these Indian concern for these issues are 10, 12 issues are major ones, where they are negotiating and the global body negotiates on. They on shared vision, one. I don't have to expand them in detail, you can now understand that. Emission cuts in global temperatures, reduction in global emissions, these are the areas where the negotiations are happening. Now when I speak like this, please place India into these points, all 12 points. And you find whether we have the power to negotiate or whether we have a diplomacy to, or that level to negotiate, so that when diplomacy and the negotiation have to go together. And global negotiations and diplomacy is based on these 12 points. One, I said it, shared vision. First world vision is different than the third world vision. We do not share the same vision, but yes, we share the vision for human survival. We share the vision that the universe should survive. We share a vision that the biodiversity should remain intact. But we do not share the same vision as what the first world looks at in third world nations. Second, what I said, the emission cuts. The third world has to say, we have not even started developing, and how we can cut our emissions if we do not use our resources. Negotiating point. हमने तो विकास शुरू ही नहीं किया, आपने कहा क्योंकि environment pollute हो जाएगा, इसलिए आप कुछ मत करो। तो मैं growth के it's a very difficult point. And the first one is insisting today on the third world that they should cut down the emissions. If I cut down the emissions, I cannot grow. And at the same time, the global temperature is rising. I don't know, India is a partner to the global temperature rise, or the whole world is in a process of the global temperature rise. I don't know, I am a geographer, understand there is a glacial and interglacial period, and we are passing through the interglacial period. I hope the climatologists and the environmentalists can make me aware that we are passing through an interglacial period where temperatures are all to rise. At the same time, the winters will also be very harsh and severe. That happening in the US. And even there was a snowfall in Saudi Arabia, maybe in Romania. If it has never happened. So the adversities in climate is because of the interglacial period, and it is going to happen, and the changes will take. Then the mitigation, I hope one, the sectoral approaches related to aviation and maritime effects, flexible mechanism, which they do not allow the third world nation to be more flexible. And at the same time, we need to adapt to these policies. We need to have a strong finance base, and we need to have a response factor. The third one need to raise a voice, therefore we are all collectively coming with India now to raise the voice for a climate response system. This is happening good. India is becoming a leader in the present time, under the present regime, to negotiate for the third world nation, and that is the beauty which is happening in the present time. And in the present time, globalization, technology, transfer, and policy, three words are evolving today. So therefore, in the era of globalization, technology transfer too. Therefore, the government presently says how much technology can be transferred to India. And I hope the way forward you have given to me, it talks about the Atmanirbhar Bharat or Make in India program is worth only making ourselves technology-driven state for managing all different aspects of the social life. And then he said the capacity building. It can be many. We need to run around. I hope I have spoken half. There's still more that I can discuss. I should really finish off here today, but it is really a wonderful to be here today to talk to you all, to raise these voices of the unheard. I say, third world is still unheard in the global arena. We need to raise some voice from the college and school levels like this, so that it is nothing but a talk to sensitize people young like you. And if you start thinking on these lines, you will be raising the voice at different forums. Then, a collective voice from, I hope that one girl very young who spoke in the United Nations about the climate change, then we did an announcement like that. When alone one can raise a voice for a global arena, I hope you are more wiser than that. You need to raise a voice at a school, college, university, and then at a national level by stating that we need to negotiate strongly. We have the say in the global arena that we also survive in this world, 144 people. It's a big voice. Therefore, we need to work on all this. I should not speak more on. Thank you again.
So we can directly take the questions because I don't think it. Yeah. So we can take direct question. I don't think it will be better for me to summarize the same negotiation वो बच्चा तो मदर को करता है. So he has really given wonderful summary also. Negotiation is a part of the life. And but I will tell you actually, if you visit to WMO or even EP or any kind of thing, I have not been COP27, but I have been to WMO. I've seen it is more technology level. मतलब we want to invest if you take a technology. So that is the very critical kind of things, we were telling that, see, we have a better, air quality monitoring and prediction. So why don't you accept us, so that we can move to Indonesia somewhere to do the business. But they were telling, no, even they don't want to include in their, manual. Is really air quality early warning system is very good for us. बिकॉज वो टेक्नोलॉजी है ना हमारा अगर वो लोग उसमें इंक्लूड कर देगा अप्रूव करेंगे ना देन हम लोग चला जाएंगे वियतनाम में भी लगाएंगे कहीं भी लगाएंगे तो इजीली नहीं करेंगे बट दे विल टेल आप ले लो स्टॉक करो हमारा अर्ली वार्निंग सिस्टम यू कैन प्रोक्योर एंड पुट इट देयर so India has a lot of talent actually but only problem is that over the period ना वो नेग्लेक्ट में रह गया हम लोग बट ऑफिस आईटी में देखिए कोई भी जैसे सर बताया और आपने देखा शायद इसरो का यू नो इट आई डू नॉट टेल इट he has not told the other part we are number one but thing is that this international body na they are more on the negotiation मतलब हमारा technology है ना so questions you can take and
Thank you, sir. Okay, now we proceed to the question answer round. Please raise your hand in case you have a query and you'll be given a mic. Yes, here.
The same question. I have a question regarding the future of carbon tax. I think New Zealand is the first country who started taking carbon tax. And what about other countries when they will start?
Can you just take a couple of questions together and then?
Sure, sir. Okay. Yeah, sure, sir. Next question, anyone?
To extend the question further, we talked about carbon tax. So we have seen European Union coming with a carbon border adjustment mechanism. So that will make imports of oil, steel, aluminium, etc. from countries like India, which have carbon intensive production mechanisms, much expensive. And also Trump was talked about. So the whole campaign of Trump was about MAGA, Make America Great Again. And Professor Kaushal sir talked about that in 1988 the country decided to shift the production basis to third world. But are we seeing a reversal back to the first world? Because we are seeing the case of Japan, the incomes are falling, the growth rate has become unsustainable. Similarly, the whole backlash in America to bring back the production into America, so that has become a problem there. So when we talk about technology transfer, so is that really relevant? Because if they are going to take the productions forward themselves, so what would be for the third world there? Like it becomes an exercise which is a farce. So that was my question.
Next question. Queries if you have, and then the members will address it in a while.
no hesitate speak to the question maybe we can block it
By the time Joshi will answer, by the time more questions will come.
Okay, we have some questions.
Let him answer and then.
मेरा क्वेश्चन सर से है सर जैसा कि आपने भी स्पीच में कहा कि we lack on voice there is a lack of voice on climate negotiations तो अभी इंडिया G20 की प्रेसिडेंसी हेड कर रहा है और अभी CCPI इंडेक्स क्लाइमेट चेंज परफॉर्मेंस इंडेक्स में 8th रैंक पर हम रहे हैं SDG गोल्स में हम सही जा रहे हैं तो हम लगभग इंडिया जो क्लाइमेट पर इंडिया का जो स्टांस है वो सही जा रहा है तो क्यों ना इंडिया वॉइस उठाए क्लाइमेट के लिए जैसे कि आपने कहा था कि अमेरिका should participate in the negotiations in funds, तो ग्लोबल नॉर्थ के खिलाफ अगर कोई देश यहाँ पर अभी जो वॉइस रेज कर सकता है मेनली क्लाइमेट पर, तो क्या वो देश इंडिया नहीं हो सकता, और क्या इंडिया को नहीं करना चाहिए, और पोस्ट कोविड वर्ल्ड के अंदर क्लाइमेट का क्या फ्यूचर रह सकता है? ये सवाल मेरा कौशल सर आपसे।
Any more questions to collect?
Pass it to me. Climate, both each other. Climate is the independence phenomenon. Say, if you match the wind and the climate, I hope you come up with comparable indicators. Independently works. Let me put say the Egyptian civilization perished because of the climate change and the diseases. Historical records. I don't know if COVID is a natural or a man-made phenomenon. Many views are existing. Therefore, climate, if you look at, say, billions of years of history, that how it has changed from the atom to unicellular bodies to a multicellular bodies. How formation and deformation of human bodies have happened, or is still happening, no one knows about. So the climate change is a constant phenomenon, slow, unseen process. Carried on. Maybe the speed and the direction might have been changed by human interventions. And directions, and with time. So the country needs to understand how much they have to grow with time, in what speed. That was the period when John F. Kennedy said that we need to move to the scientific. And you see the post-Second World War period, the First World has grown at a very rapid rate. And they have used their maximum resources the fullest. And there is a crisis level. So their own survival is only to negotiate the third world today. Otherwise they will perish. And what they say, the next question related to what he says, now they sell technology to you. And they sell the second and third rated technology to the third world, which pollutes further with urbanization. They will never give you the first kind of the technology developed. That is where the India now said it, we want to have our own technology in all spheres of life under the Make in India program. And for the poverty, what they said is there should be a strong base of social and the entrepreneurship among all the different kinds of youth. So therefore, all IITs and the social are asked to come up with novel ideas to technology develop. And I would wonder if you see a huge amount of technology have been developed by young scientists and young people like you today. And they are altering the model for everything. And the first one is looking into India that how this fast rate that has happened in the last 7, 8, 10 years today is a new formation in the global arena. Therefore, we are coming up on the right stage to negotiate with the first one. And the influence of India, I don't say Modi, but under his leadership, India is negotiating better than what other people have negotiated in the past. And I say the breaking point was Indira Gandhi. She negotiates that on social issues. And Narendra Modi is negotiating on technology, transfer, policy. So there's a huge difference from social dimension to technology-driven policy change that is close to take. See that India will really alter the whole mechanism of not only the negotiations to environment, but India will be more strengthened to negotiate on all fronts of development in time to come, and you will be able to see that.
Actually, that is, the question you asked whether India taking the leadership. Actually, I will give you some my experience that we lack of documentation. And you may be knowing, even in the history, a lot of arguments are there. Why the Mughal history dominated in tech? Because they have, like that, written documentation. They don't have that. So even you have other Hindu kings, they were in South India and other. So why it did not help? Because documentation. Even today, many, like Sir told, we have in India vibrant. Some technology must be going on, but it needs to be documented. क्या credibility है, technology कैसा है, where it has been tested, demonstrated, it should not be like so in exhibition, next I come and that way actually, that way, even in the anywhere you go in the yeah, to get the publication, to find very color and figures and like that. Even
Before he ends up,
yeah.
in the before the federal regime, the Indian scientists were underground selling their own technology to the first world. Not to the gas, I know there's a check and balance. They were selling research, they were selling technology. Or say the people in the scientific body, they were corrupting the gas. But today, I hope there is a change in the mindset. Probably that is changing. And now the technology is being rightly used in the Indian context.
And even
That's the beauty that's happening.
And even if you also are kind of small thing, put it in writing, put it in blog, put it in Facebook. आप लोगों को फोटो जैसे लोड करते हैं कितना राइटिंग आप फेसबुक में लोड करते हैं It should be our nature actually.
Just to add, and also addressing these two, not fully but partially for sure. He's referring to Mrs. Indira Gandhi. I couldn't stop myself sharing this. When that conference was organized, only 2 heads of the states attended. That is something very interesting to know. Yeah, that is something very interesting to know. It was invitation for all head of the states, but other countries they sent their representatives, and only 2 head of the states were there. One was Mrs. Indira Gandhi; she was representing India. Anybody who can guess second? It's very binary. And then the host, Sweden, Stockholm. Only 2 head of the states were there. Now you see the courage, and now you see the leadership. And now, today, when you listen to all proceedings of Glasgow, many of the countries, they put their commitments, but India showed the direction along with commitments. Like, I said CDRI, I said one sun, one grid, one planet. So, along with commitments, India showed subsets wherein, many of the countries can come. So,
Possible.
Now coming to you, when we talk about G5, G7, G20, break, all these kind of things, these all are coalitions and they are the ones who are powerful. Now when we are here in G20, we are expressing that, the kind of diversity, the kind of variation, landforms, technology, science, knowledge, people, we are expressing. Like when they were phasing out coal in the pact, when they were trying to phase out coal, so our Minister of Environment, he stood up. He said, what is this only coal? Write fossil fuels. Because they are using fossil fuels, not the coal. Here as a major fossil fuel. So these kind of interjections, they speak a lot. Phasing out, these make a lot of sense. And our Minister of Environment, he played a very crucial role. When we talk about this carbon tax and all, this actually it has generated all from polluter pays. When we were talking about water pollution, air pollution, and all these kind of things, so in country and also globally, polluter pays kind of theory came. Polluting will be paid. So same is with carbon tax. It could be from fossil fuels, it could be from agriculture field, from urban sectors, food, whatsoever you call it. There a cap is being placed so that you minimize your footprint. So many of the European countries, and specifically the ones who are small and which are very rich, they have introduced it very powerfully. And most of the developing countries, they are still negotiating on this. Then you get something, carbon credits. You say, okay, I will smoke as much as I want, but you do puja part for me. I will drink as much as you want, but you pray, you do all dan dakshina for me. This is what it was, they will be doing all industrial developments and here we will be preserving forest and they will buy the carbon credits. So this is something which is correct. Philosophically incorrect, but more pragmatically it is because you are not able to maintain the check and balances. So for that, this technology, even though we need transfer of technology because we need to, tomorrow, all of a sudden, if you get lot of renewable energy, who will utilize that? Are our industries ready for that? Are our people ready for that? Probably not. Because, everybody is working with one quarter of, one type of fossil fuel. Even if you get this, so for those kind of things, you need, transfer of technology. But sending resources over there, that is, now at least government is very clear about that. That is not acceptable. We need to develop all our indigenous technologies, methods and all, so that we can develop things very nicely. And one of the solutions is startups. You bring a not only disruptive one, but truly innovative, which can add to it.
Any other question? Beyond
Do you have any more questions?
like adaptation or anything?
Just a common general question.
Anything adaptation?
Sir, as Kaushal sir has rightly remarked that powerful countries will always have a negotiating edge in international arenas, and the hegemony of US dollar makes a lot of difference. And we at present as India are negotiating in this aspect very well. But my question is, in our own country, as people of India, we have a lot of inertia, we have a lot of apathy, status quo disorder, comfort levels, a huge extent of comfort levels. My question is, how can we use our diplomacy to change ourselves, to have a momentum towards some climate change or something? How can we change? Because we cannot wait till the others change, right? So how can we make our own initiative first?
When I start my slide, if you ask me, I have worked 30 years. When I see also, or when I look at our document, answer lies with you. So how individual or as a community, whatever can you unnecessarily use of power बंद करना है, AC and all. ये actually बहुत हो सकता है. I know हमारा बड़ा country है. Many times, I used to discuss. UK is half of the Uttar Pradesh. ये points बहुत है, but to reach I told ना habit बनाना ये सब particularly for rich and middle class as such. नाम हम लोग middle class बोल के सारा country को ऐसे ही रखा है. मतलब हम middle class कुछ भी कर सकते हैं, but actually middle class are the main people who can flanker of the country.
See, have you heard of Life Mission? Who has given that? Who has given that?
Our Prime Minister.
UNESCO has done a white paper on that. We had a program where the Director General of United Nations was here and it was given to entire world. And there are many programs. So this is what has actually come as a policy, as a negotiation, and interfering and bringing in something which can make a difference. So I will just play a game. You all know spelling of habit.
Yes, sir.
H. What remains? Habit. You remove up. What remains?
Bit.
You remove B. What remains?
Eight.
You remove I.
T.
Then habit goes. Otherwise, it remains in some fraction. So unless that I works, तभी आप habit change करें. नहीं तो नहीं.
50 की habit.
Yeah, any other question? Otherwise,
Okay. Now we'll wrap up the question answer round because we're running short of time. So earlier today we had organized Vasudha, the environmental quiz, whose results are now ready. I will request our guests to felicitate the winners with trophies and certificates. Commencing with the third prize, it goes to Bhavesh Punyar. Thank you, winner.
second position is backed by Bharat Singh Rajpurohit. I will request Professor Kumar to give a
The much awaited first position is awarded to Vaibhav Singh. Thank you, sir. A heartiest congratulations to all our winners. Please give a huge round of applause for our winners.
request our coordinator Amna Khan to present Dr. Mr. R.K. Jenamani sir with memento.
I would request our President of Kartavya, Jenamani Kumari, to felicitate Mr. P.K. Joshi with memento.
Request Vikram sir to present Mr. Kaushal Kumar Sharma with memento. Please.
I would now like to invite Professor Anshuman to propose the vote of thanks.
I don't know where to start. And once I start, I don't know where to end. I'm just going to keep it very, very brief. I think we've had a wonderful session, wonderful insights into the entire topic. And each one of the speakers has, I think, left a mark in your minds to think forward about what to do as an individual, what we need to do as a community, and what we need to do as Indians. And definitely, we have to stand and be very strong about how we would like to be treated in the world. Negotiations is one of the words that you all heard, used, everything. Take more time into what the speaker said. I'm sure the words are going to echo in your minds. So I won't repeat. I thank the Kartavya Society for hosting such a meaningful talk for the students and for majority of our students today sitting here would be the UPSC aspirants. So hearing them, you would realize, how much more you need to read, learn, understand before you can actually even think of attempting a UPSC exam. So, I'd just like to thank each one of our speakers. Dr. Jenamani, thank you so much for being here. Professor Joshi and Professor Kumar Sharma. Thanks a lot. And after thanking them, I'd like to thank the society, the office bearers of the society, the faculty members, and last but not the least, all the students who sat here and listened to all these beautiful words that our chief guest had to share with you. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Ram.
Thank you, Anand.
I would now request our panelists to please vote for the photograph of the audience, after which we end the event.
फिनिश कर फिनिश कर फिनिश कर रहे हैं। वहाँ क्या सुन रहा है?